John, what's up, my man?
Hey Andrew, good to see you. Thank you for coming today.
Good to see you too, man. Happy to be here.
Thank you for first off for buying the local business micro agency program. I want to just ask a few questions and just kind of get your feedback on stuff. First off, why did you decide to buy the local business micro agency program we did?
I decided to buy the local Facebook ads agency program because I obviously experienced your cash from connections trainings before, and
Hmm.
I really enjoyed those. I love the way you break down the material and just the approach to this stuff is quite unique. Like cash from connections and just meeting people and having more conversations it seems so intuitive now that I've been exposed to it, but it's not something that you really see other business mentors, marketing coaches, and that type of personality talk about. It's all about running ads and creating content and stuff, but very little is about actual real human social skills, right? And so that's something that I'm pretty into. It just resonated well with me and I loved that. So first of all, I thought the micro agency training would be great because it came from you and the source is awesome, right? But on top
Okay.
of that, and the thing that really made me pull the trigger on it was that with the rise of AI writing tools and everything, it's not that I'm seeing opportunities for straight copywriting diminish in the research and the work that I'm doing in my own business, but clients are pretty consistently asking for more from us than just delivering copy into a Google Doc or whatever, or writing some emails or
Hmm.
something, right? They want more output from us. They want more deliverables. Just trying to stay ahead of the curve in the tech developments and everything. I want to add more tools to my toolbox, get more skills, right? And media buying or setting up ads on Meta is a pretty obvious one. It's something that I have always thought I would probably have to dive into, but your approach to it seemed much more simple and direct. Like it didn't seem like an overwhelming process to set these up. On top of that, I know I'm going on and on. I had a lot of caffeine today, but I'm really into the idea of running these ads for local businesses. That's another thing that really appealed to me. I really value being able to work remotely for businesses and clients all around the world. I think that's really cool and beneficial. But I also like to be involved in my community as well. I like having clients who I could drive over to their place and shake their hand if I want. It goes along with the cash from connections thing.
Okay, that's awesome. And yeah, just as a kind of for anybody watching this video after the fact, Cash from Connections was a business networking training that I ran last year that Andrew took part in. And yeah, who'd have thought that just talk to people could make for 6 weeks of content? But it's so funny. It is actually it's such simple and old-fashioned advice, but these days it's a little bit counterintuitive.
Yeah, I think a lot of people get so focused on scale and size and
Mhm.
speed at the expense of all other things. And things like email and whatever, SMS, whatever things we might set up with technology are great for sort of size and speed, but the price you pay is in that connection, right? And people don't buy from machines and weird funnel setups and stuff. They buy from people and individuals, right?
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
There's almost always some kind of a personality connection in most purchases, whether it's the personality of an individual provider with coaching or the personality of product when you buy something from a brand.
Right.
So when you actually went through the local business micro agency program, what did you like about it when you actually did the trainings?
Just to be upfront, I'm still working through it. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet. I could talk a little bit about why that is if you like. I know it's off topic from the question.
Sure, yeah, let's
Yeah.
hear it.
Okay. So, what was great about it was that right from the very first presentation that you did, and because of time zone differences, I can't attend them live. So, I'm watching the recordings back. But right from the very first one, it was so applicable and so focused on just getting started. You don't have to stack and build all these skills, spend 6 months getting good at it or whatever. You have the skills, or I have the skills now to start and execute, right? So, that was very compelling. And I did that right after the first presentation. I started reaching out to some local business owners that I know in my hometown here. And right away, I had one who was like, yes, let's do it. Let's pull the trigger. This is something I want to do. I had this now client that I have a client now all of a sudden, and I'm just
Awesome.
taking my time in working through the material that you present as I work through the stages of implementing the ads for the client, right? So I'm just taking it one step at a time. This client, it was a fresh Meta Ads account, right? So obviously we can't jump right to super high levels of ad spend. You start running into some errors and issues with Meta. So we're ramping up the ad spend slowly. which means some of the things that you presented in your training about top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel, these awareness building strategies, we can't necessarily implement right now because I end up splitting $12 a day of ad spend across 3 or 4 ads. It's just not really, it doesn't seem that productive.
Of course.
Yeah, this client is really like a great learning opportunity for me. I'm working through all the material that you presented step by step as I go through this procedure live with a real client, right? Which is fantastic. That's a great way to apply it.
Awesome. I had to hear all of that. And yet, the way I tried to teach it was to teach. I knew everybody in the program was somebody who already had copywriting training and experience. And okay, if you're smart enough to learn copywriting and get paid for it already, then you have some good fundamental skills in place. And then learning how to run advertising is just an add on to that. You don't have to go back to basics. So,
Yeah.
all I had to teach was the very simple skills of just putting it all together and thinking about the campaign. And it's great to hear that you also took that bias towards action and just implemented, because the number one problem I've experienced in my past, self in the past, and that I've seen in other programs where I've either been a participant or helped out or taught, is that people get so wrapped up in the fulfillment side of things that they, how to say it, they never actually get to the part of actually getting a deal. And so now I've realized with anything new I do, finding somebody who's going to pay for it is where it really starts. When somebody says, yeah, I'll do this, or yeah, I'll give you $500, or yeah, I'll take a punt on this, that's when it actually starts. And then after that, then you can learn all the implementation skills, because the first skill is getting somebody to trust you enough to give you a go, even if you're not super experienced.
Absolutely.
Had you done any other courses about agency skills or running ads before?
No, never. I actually had a little bit of hands-on experience with Ads Manager, but this we're talking about like 2016 or so. So like almost 10 years ago. I played around with Ads Manager a little bit for my own business. I used to run a brick and mortar gym here in my town back before the COVID times. So I was a little bit familiar with the interface, but so many things have changed in that time. I've never really worked with a client, and my understanding of sort of marketing principles back then was not very sophisticated. I was just trying to figure it out myself. So essentially, no, I was basically starting from zero with this one.
Got you. Okay. And then can you tell me what you sort of expectations you had about what the program would be like before you started? And did it match your expectations? Was it what you thought did you get what you thought you were going to get?
Yeah, I definitely did. A lot of other trainings or the way people position themselves as media buyers and stuff make the process seem very complicated and finicky and overwhelming. And it's, oh man, I'm going to work with this client who's got $10,000 a day in ad spend, and I'm going to use this really finicky process that I need to understand and execute perfectly. And what if I mess up that $10,000 a day? It seems very risky for somebody who's new to this process. So I expected, and a thing that really appealed to me when I came across your Facebook post about this training process was that it started relatively small stakes. You could get your feet wet, cut your teeth on the process. And the process isn't, in fact, super involved and in depth, and it takes you weeks and months to set up and understand, right? So that is what I expected, was simplicity and sort of ease of implementation. And that's definitely what I got out of it. It was fantastic. Yeah.
That's awesome. And yes, when I started last year, I had a bit of luck. A friend of mine gave me some mentorship and let me run one of his ad accounts and gave me $10,000 to spend right at the beginning. Under his guidance, I would not have wanted to do that alone.
Yeah.
But after we did that, then he said, okay, now go get yourself some clients. So after spending that money, it felt a little bit less intimidating to go and spend $500 of a client's money after that. Because the thing about ads is it can be quite intimidating. But then you have to step back and think, oh, you know what? It's only $20. If I screw it up today, it's no big deal. It's only $20. It's not a big deal. And
Yeah.
I've stepped up bit by bit over the past year to where I now, across my different client accounts, probably spend anywhere from $20,000 to $30,000 a month. And then I have friends who are far more successful who spend $20,000 to $30,000 a day, and they have other friends who are more successful than them who could spend $20,000 or $30,000 in an hour. So
Yeah.
there's no upper limit to this stuff.
And getting started with something small stakes, like, definitely makes me feel more confident in upping this budget over time or working with clients who have a higher advertising budget, especially now that I've had the opportunity. Like, one thing is the dollar figure, but the thing that is really encouraging for me is the opportunity to apply these marketing fundamentals that I understand and actually see like real results and real returns from them. Like, this client now is getting a new sales call booked every day. Whereas I think I mentioned this when I messaged you previously, if he got 4 sales calls in a month, that was like a bumper month for him. And now he's up to 1 a day. He's overjoyed. So now that I know that the fundamentals and the principles that I apply are actually going to generate a result for these clients, it's a lot less daunting to all of a sudden take their money and throw it into this thing.
And that's an overlooked fact about doing this local business marketing, is that if you're a working copywriter and you're working these extremely competitive online only niches where there's tons of people going after the same customer, it's so hard to get traction or to break through. And then when you're working with some of these local companies, oftentimes you're competing with nothing at all. Your client might not have been advertising. So the minute you start advertising, any kind of advertising at all is going to get them a bump in attention. And if the local area they're in, other people are not advertising that much, you very quickly they start to really stand out. Okay,
Yeah.
so next question. Can you just give me 2 or 3 things, and they don't have to be big things, but just 2 or 3 things from the training you've seen so far that stood out to you as being interesting or noteworthy?
Yeah, I think the thing that really stood out as most interesting to me, apart from like the ease of implementation and just getting started and how that can generate results on its own, was your strategy of setting up top of funnel, middle of funnel, and bottom of funnel advertisements, and how those deeper ads retarget people that were already exposed to the first ad and provide some more context and deeper understanding of the service. I thought that was really cool. I think that's an awesome thing that Meta Ads does. It's not something I was aware of before because I've spent so little time in the ads manager. So that was something that was really compelling for me. And it's great as time goes on with this new client to slowly get to build those things in and really take my time, like understanding like what those ads are for, what their role is in the overall process. It's been really good. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Was there anything that was surprising to you about the local business micro agency, or something that you didn't expect that we actually got into?
I keep coming back around to this. And part of it might be because, as I said, I'm implementing these things as I go. So I'm not all the way through the material yet, but I hope I'm not repeating it too much. But just the idea that it's something that a lot of people, if they have experience with writing copy or any kind of marketing already, like they have the tools to do this. Like you don't have to go get a university degree or study physics or something to understand ads manager. It's meant to be pretty straightforward. And I'm not going to say anybody, but anybody with an existing skill set relevant to marketing probably can get started with this pretty rapidly.
Okay. Are there any specific challenges you think you may have to overcome, or gaps in your knowledge you may have to fill in to be an effective advertiser for local businesses?
One thing that I'm anticipating, but maybe it's just me like making up stuff to think darkly about, is I'm not really like a sophisticated graphic designer or video editor or creator of content, right? I really enjoy coming up with angles and positioning and how to deliver these angles to the audience and stuff. I love writing the scripts, shall we say, for the video ads, but creating the ads is not something that I have a ton of confidence in. So I'm a little bit concerned that when I start applying this stuff to a new client, they might look at the ads that I create and go, "Oh, cool, Andrew, but I gave you all this money and this ad doesn't really look like it's up to the standard and quality that I see in other ads coming up on Meta," right? Now, obviously, the counterpoint that we understand, the ads they're seeing elsewhere on Meta, like on Facebook or Instagram or whatever, are not for local businesses typically. And if they are, they're probably overwhelmingly likely not for competitive local businesses. So they're not really competing with those ads, but I anticipate maybe a little bit of difficulty in addressing that expectation with clients. But I'm also not convinced that's a realistic concern.
Okay, no, it's worth mentioning. Video editing is something that used to be really hard, and
Yeah.
to do it at a professional like standard, it's still quite difficult. It's still quite challenging. But for the purpose of most local businesses that you're going to advertise for, you don't really need to have a high specification video editor. Now, if the client wants really high quality video, then you can get them to hire a local videographer to help them shoot the ads and add in some B-roll, and you can stitch that together, or work with that local videographer to actually edit the video and give the finished result. But for the most part, I don't do that. I get my client to buy one of these, a little desktop DJI gimbal. I get them to grab one of these little wireless lapel mic sets, tell them set it up nicely, dress their background appropriately, For example, if it's a builder in front of the whiteboard, if they're in a HVAC company, I have them in front of the air conditioning system in their office so they can see that they're nice and cool while they're doing it. These kinds of things, usually in their office setting, just to show that they're a professional person, that's enough. And then it's a matter of just recording. And on the edit side, you may have not have come to this part of the training yet. There's a video about using Descript, which
Yep.
is a app for video editing that lets you edit text. So it puts the video up on screen, it transcribes the video, and lets you edit it like a text document. You can actually edit a video like it's a Google Doc. So for somebody used to working with text, it's a much more natural interface than working on a video timeline.
Yeah. Awesome.
Okay, is there anything else I'd like to ask? Yeah, do you think beyond copywriter, is there anybody else that could get value from the training, the local business micro agency training?
Yeah, definitely. I would think anybody who is getting into any kind of business for themselves really would benefit from this training, not just for the purposes of necessarily creating and running their own ads. While that's very valuable and probably very important for lots of local businesses or online businesses, right? It's a good basic skill to have for any business owner, but at least so they understand what the process of running ads on Meta is, what it looks like, what it's all about, at least at a fundamental level. So they're not just, if they ever get that phone call from some guy in the middle of the afternoon who's like, hey man, I'm going to set you up a website and run you some Meta ads. They're not just throwing their money out into the ether and hoping to get something back. Like they can really understand what they're investing in.
Got you. Okay. And do you have any suggestions for how I could improve the local business micro agency training, or something that you felt maybe an extra thing that I could have added, or something that might have been a gap that I missed?
No, so far every question that I've had or every step that I've had to take and every button I've had to click has been addressed in the training. But as I work through it, as I continue working with this client and other clients, if I come across something that doesn't seem obvious, I'll definitely reach out to you and let you know.
Okay. That's all my questions for today. Thanks so much for doing
Cool.
this interview, Andrew. Appreciate
Yeah,
it.
it was awesome, John. Thank you so much for the great training once again.
Cheers.